Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to do a rolled ice design, and I'm going to attempt to do the Chorus of Angels design that I've seen all over like Facebook and other social media platforms. I tried to find who was responsible for this design. I haven't really been super active on social media for the past several months, so I tried to go back through the archives of a couple of the Facebook groups I'm a part of, and I couldn't find out who actually came up with this design so that I could credit them with the design. But if you know who did the original design, please drop a comment down below and let me know. So I'm really not meaning to try to step on anybody's toes with this one. This is just kind of me trying this design myself. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to center the shirt. This process is going to go really fast, but down below this video in the description for the video, I have a link to another video which shows how to center a shirt. Basically what I'm doing is getting both halves of the fabric on the front of the shirt right up next to each other, and the same thing for the back. That way, whenever I apply the dye and do the process, the shirt is finished and you open it up, both halves of the front are going to look just about the same, and the same thing with the back. By the way, my video camera seems to be going a little bit wacky, so it's going in and out of focus at times. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. Now that the shirt is centered, I'm going to use a straight edge and a washable marker, and I'm going to do a diagonal line on the shirt going down, starting just about a little bit below the armpit of the shirt, going up to the shoulder of the shirt. Then I'm going to begin to roll on the line, and I'm going to try to roll this line as tightly as possible, starting from the inside or the center line of the shirt. And as I'm rolling that part of the shirt, I'm going to force the fabric on either side of the line to go ahead and roll as well. I'm not really forcing the fabric on either side of the line to roll very tightly. We'll see how that turns out. So for me, I like on these roll designs to go ahead and use my washable marker and mark where my line was that I actually rolled on the outside of the fabric, so that when I go ahead and fold the shirt over, I can find that part easily. Then I'm going to hold the whole entire fold in place with some kite string. I'm only going to use one color for this design, and I thought it'd be cool to try Dharma's Black Ice, which is one of their ice dye colors. For my setup, I'm using a piece of vinyl guttering, and I'm going to place the shirt down inside of the vinyl guttering with the part that I rolled up at the top. Then I'm going to take a piece of kite string, attach it to the end of the shirt, and take the other piece of kite string and clip it to the end of the vinyl guttering. That way, the shirt won't slide out of the guttering when I incline it. Before I begin applying the dye, I'm going to use some soda ash solution that I've placed inside of a spray bottle, and I'm going to lightly spray the shirt, at least right at the very top where I'm going to apply the dye. So I'm going to try something different with this shirt and with this roll design. Normally I apply the dye and then add the ice over the top, but this time I'm going to apply dye only to that part that I rolled, add a little bit of dry soda ash over the top of that, and then I'm going to add on my ice. And for this design, I'm going to use larger chunks of ice, which I've made inside of, I believe they're containers intended for pencils for you to use in your desk, which I purchased from the Dollar Tree dollar store. They're a perfect fit for these pieces of vinyl guttering. I'm going to place 2 pieces of the larger ice over the top of the design, and then I'm going to add a couple of smaller cubes up at the very, very top because this ice won't reach that area. Then to incline the shirt, I'm going to use a plastic tote that has sides that are probably about 6 inches tall. I'm going to place one end of the vinyl guttering down inside of that plastic tote and leave the other end hanging off the edge. That's going to place the shirt in an incline. Then I'm going to try something different as well, and I'm going to apply some dye over the top of the ice. I've done several of these rolled designs, and I think they're really cool, but I like experimenting, and so I'm trying to change up some of the variables and see what I end up with. This is a pretty solid chunk of ice, so let's see how this ends up looking. Then I'm going to add a little bit more dry soda ash over the top of the dye, and then leave the shirt alone and allow the ice to melt. So I came back after this layer of ice melted, and I had quite a bit of white left, which wasn't super surprising to me. Most of the white that was left was at the top of the incline, where I had folded the shirt over. The area toward the bottom that was a single layer of rolled design, that was colored pretty well. So I went ahead and added some more dye to the top of the white area, added a little bit more soda ash, and some more ice. Unfortunately, I still had my video camera paused when I added the dye and the soda ash over the top, but you can see where I added the dye and the soda ash, and then I added ice to those areas. The lower part, since it seemed to be saturated pretty well, I just left that alone. I don't want to oversaturate because I do want some of those color splits and other cool features in the shirt. So I just left that part alone because truthfully, when I add all of this stuff up at the top, it's gonna slide down to the area that already looks like it's well dyed. When I apply the ice to the top too, I'm trying to make sure I add plenty of ice up at that very, very top area where the shirt is curved over. That is the area that tends to be the lightest because it's harder to get dye up in that area, and it's kind of difficult sometimes unless you're really paying attention to make sure you get plenty of ice up in that area as well. Then after I had the ice on the shirt, I left it alone to allow the ice to melt. And after this second layer of ice melted, the shirt seemed to be really well saturated. So I took it out of the piece of vinyl guttering, put it down inside of a plastic tote with a lid on it, placed it outside in the heat, and allowed it to process for about 36 hours before I rinsed it out. To rinse the shirt, I took it to my utility sink and I began rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. And as you can tell, it looks to be fairly well saturated. Remember, I only applied dye to the front side of the shirt. I didn't flip the shirt over and apply dye to the back side, which I do a lot of times with these roll designs because they are so thick. But it seems that this one has gotten pretty well saturated. So let's see once we go ahead and unroll it. After I've rinsed in cold for a while, I went ahead and untied the shirt and warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to try to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of rinsing for a long time, I went ahead and soaked the shirt by placing the shirt in my utility sink, adding some really hot water to the sink along with a little bit of Blue Dawn dish soap. I placed the shirt inside and then I allowed it to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I placed the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one looks pretty cool. I'm not sure I really ended up with a chorus of angels. Instead, right in the middle where it comes down to a V, I think I ended up with a Yeti face, and then I think I ended up with Easter Island heads going on either side of the Yeti face. But I think it ended up being really cool, and I think it looks like a fun design. I really love the color too. Like I said, I used black ice, which is one of Dharma's newer ice dye colors, and I think the color splits in this one are really pretty. I love all the various shades of gray and kind of like grayed blues as well as purple shades, and I think it looks really pretty, especially with this Yeti looking face. I think it looks cool. But As far as, is this a true blue Chorus of Angels type shirt? I don't think so. But I also didn't watch any kind of a tutorial or anything. I just thought that they were cool and thought I'd give it a try and see what I came up with. So I wasn't really trying to follow that design like perfectly, but I think it ended up being a fun shirt. But what do you guys think? Do you like this one? Do you think it's fun? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And like I said, if you know who came up with the Chorus of Angels shirt, please drop their name down below. I'd like to give them credit. I try not to use other people's designs without crediting people, but I could not find out who originally started that design. So if you know, please let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.